Well, it is Wednesday, Donald Trump Day, and here we are with a breaking story related to Trump going further and further down the dictator totalitarianism hole. And this breaking story is getting worse and worse by the day when it comes to Donald Trump and when it comes to what the concept of democracy in America is meant to be. All on the heels of his so-called obliterated success of bombing Iran's nuclear sites. And I'm going to show you that story in just a few seconds. Let's understand, when he went to NATO just now, a couple of the key things, and this is the President of the U.S., that he popped off about with regards to, once again, other countries who are allies, his boys behind him, and of course, the fake news. This.
A question on Spain. Are you satisfied with today?
Oh, I think Spain's terrible what they've done. No, I do. They're the only country that won't pay the full up. They want to stay at 2%. I think it's terrible. And that economy could be blown right out of the water with something bad happening. Are you from Spain?
Yeah.
Good, congratulations. You know Marco Rubio with me and Pete Hegseth, Secretary of State and Secretary of War. Should we say Secretary? You know, it used to be called Secretary of War. Maybe for a couple of weeks we'll call it that because we feel like warriors. Did very bad, demeaned by fake news CNN, which is back there, believe it or not, wasting time, nobody's watching them. So they're just wasting a lot of time, wasting my time. And the New York Times, they put out a story that, well, maybe they were hit, but it wasn't bad. Well, it was so bad that they ended the war. It ended the war. If we didn't take that out, they'd be fighting right now. It was so devastating, actually. If you look at Hiroshima, if you look at Nagasaki, you know, that ended a war too. This ended a war in a different way, but it was so devastating.
Of course, what does he do? Right before this breaking story, he once again, as president, is calling for reporters to be fired. He just posted this a few hours ago, today, Wednesday. This. Breaking. Post on True Social by President Donald J. Trump within the last 2 hours. Natasha Bertrand should be fired from CNN. I watched her for 3 days doing fake news. She should be immediately reprimanded and then thrown out, in quotes, like a dog. She lied on the laptop from hell story, and now she lied on the nuclear site story, attempting to destroy our Patriot pilots by making them look bad when, in fact, they did a great job and hit pay dirt. Total obliteration, all caps. She should not be allowed to work at fake news CNN. It's people like her who destroyed the reputation of a once great network. Her slant was so obviously negative. Besides, she doesn't have what it takes to be an on-camera correspondent. Not even close. All caps, fire Natasha, exclamation point. And so now what has Donald Trump decided to do? He already didn't talk to half of the Gang of Eight before he even chose to bomb Iran, which can easily be noted as illegal in terms of our three branches of government. But now Donald Trump has pledged and will have the backing to do this. Breaking news, scoop. Trump to limit sharing classified info with Congress after leak on Iran bombing damage. The Trump administration plans to limit sharing classified information with Congress after someone leaked an internal assessment suggesting that Saturday's bombings of Iran's nuclear facilities weren't as successful as President Trump claimed, 4 sources tell Axios. The FBI is also investigating the leak, the sources says. Why it matters? The leaking of preliminary Defense Intelligence Agency's battle damage assessment outraged Trump and top U.S. officials who said it was incomplete and that its release was aimed at undercutting Trump's claims that Iran's nuclear sites had been, in quotes, obliterated. We are declaring war on the leakers, a senior White House official said Wednesday. Zoom in, the administration sources say they're planning to limit posting on CapNet, a system that administration uses to share classified information with Congress. The DIA's assessment on the Iran bombings was put on CapNet late Monday. The next afternoon, CNN and then the New York Times reported snippets of the assessment. The early media reports indicated that Iran's nuclear program had been set back only by a matter of months instead of being, quotes, obliterated. Zoom out. Democrats in Congress were already upset at the administration for refusing to brief some members before the bombings, and the White House's plans to further restrict the sharing of classified information are likely to provoke a fresh round of criticism. Go figure. Almost as soon as we put the information on CapNet, it leaks, an administration source said. There's no reason to do this again. Between the lines, the sources who spoke with Axios said they couldn't disclose more details of the DIA assessment, but emphasized 3 aspects of the report. It was put together in the 24 hours after the bombing and was based on a review of satellite photos, not on-the-ground witnesses to the damage. Number 2, it was just one early snapshot of information from only one of the 18 agencies in the intelligence community. And number 3, the report self-acknowledged the, in quotes, low confidence of the assessment, which was to be used as a tool to guide whether the administration wanted to bomb the facilities again. The big picture? Since his first run for president in 2016, when his campaign was investigated for its ties to Russia, Trump has been deeply suspicious of the intelligence community. Tuesday's disclosures only increased that sense of paranoia. Trump knows the IC, intelligence community, has spooks who hate his guts, one advisor said. What they're saying? At a NATO press conference in Europe on Wednesday, Trump criticized the coverage of the DIA leak, as did Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State and National Security Advisor. They said the U.S. hit Iran's 3 nuclear sites with so many Tomahawk missiles and massive bunker-busting bombs that the country's program was set back significantly, echoing the head of the International Atomic Energy Agency. All this stuff about the intelligence, this is what a leaker is telling you the intelligence says, Rubio said. That's the game these people play. They read it and then they go out and characterize it in the way they want to characterize it. Are you kidding me? We're now in the place, barely 5 months into this second term, where Donald Trump not only didn't consult with the Democratic side of the Gang of Eight, but now is telling out loud that he is going to withhold classified information from the legislative branch of this government in terms of how he is going to function. I keep saying it over and over and over again. This is not a businessman who's good for running America. This is a man who's done business under the guise of his whole life. What he said when he ran in his first term, he said out loud in front of people, I and I alone can fix it. And now he doesn't just have a fixer known as Michael Cohen. Oh, no, 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 no. He has a whole litany of fixers, from Pam Bondi in the Attorney General's office, to Tom Homan at ICE, to Kristi Noem at DHS, to Pete Hegseth as the Secretary of Defense, and now Marco Punk Rubio, that's going to be my nickname for him, as the Secretary of State. And so they are allowing him, along with the person with the real big puppet strings in the back, Stephen Miller, they're now pushing and allowing him to essentially wall himself off to run this country by himself in his own brain without consulting anyone. That's the direction we are headed after this breaking story. Can you imagine in your lifetime any president from either party actually saying we are going to withhold information that's classified in our normal setting from members of Congress? And you can bet with this man, it will be almost exclusively withholding it from Democrats. You guys stay frosty.